GMNA uses artificial intelligence for generated speech, visuals, and production. AI-generated content may contain errors. Please verify important information before making decisions or taking action.
Good morning. Today we honor jazz legend Oliver Jones at his city memorial, and I'll update you on the new downtown refuge construction and a first-ever metropolitan bus line launching soon. Traffic is only seeing minor delays, and Mile End's fresh microbrewery Le Petit Houblon is opening. Over to you, Ryan.
The first metropolitan bus line is scheduled to launch next month, linking downtown Montreal to the north side suburbs.
The service will run 7 days weekly, offering buses every 10 minutes during weekday peak periods.
Dedicated bus lanes were completed earlier this week, preparing the route for immediate operation upon launch.
All right, let's get into it, beginning with today's top headlines and breaking news across the city. Here are our top stories. Montreal gathered at Union United Church in Little Burgundy yesterday to honor late jazz pianist Oliver Jones, with family, friends, and fellow musicians commemorating his lifelong contribution to Canadian music. Philippe Nadeau has the full story.
Family, friends, fellow musicians, and dozens of admirers gathered inside Union United Church in Little Burgundy as a memorial service on August 20th paid tribute to the late jazz pianist Oliver Jones. The program featured spoken recollections, a selection of his recordings and live performances by local artists who had known him for years. Organizers highlighted that Jones first stepped onto a stage at this very church when he was 5, launching a career that spanned more than 6 decades. The sanctuary was filled with the soft glow of candles and the gentle hum of a piano playing his signature melodies, while attendees shared stories of his generosity and musical brilliance. The community's affection was evident in every note and every whispered memory. Philippe Nadeau, GMNA News, Little Burgundy.
Father Miguel Tremblay, whose children attend an elementary school in Villeray, disclosed that he spent the past year sorting through an overwhelming stream of school communications. He counted 456 individual emails, which together contain roughly 164,000 words, the length of a full Harry Potter novel. At a normal reading pace, Tremblay estimates the total would require 14 hours of continuous reading. He said the volume reflects a broader trend of parents receiving extensive daily updates, homework assignments, event notices, and policy notices from schools. The tally was compiled during 2025 and highlights the growing administrative load placed on families trying to stay informed about their children's education. Tremblay joined an online group of parents who have begun logging their inboxes to quantify the time cost. Their findings suggest that a typical parent could spend more than half a day each month merely reading school-issued messages.
Yesterday, the University of Montreal conferred an honorary doctorate on cartoonist Serge Chapleau. The ceremony, held in the main hall, recognized Chapleau's decades of political satire and sketches that have long graced the pages of La Presse. University officials highlighted his unique ability to capture the pulse of province with humor and insight, noting that his work has become a staple of Quebec's cultural conversation. Chapleau, who has drawn for generations of readers, accepted the honor alongside fellow laureates, thanking the faculty and his family for their support. The university's rector called the award a tribute to the power of visual commentary in shaping dialogue. Chapleau's honorary degree adds to a distinguished list of artists celebrated by the institution. Students from arts faculty gathered to applaud, and the event was streamed live for broader community. The university plans to feature Chapleau's illustrations in an upcoming exhibition on Quebec media history.
The PAQ has broken ground on a $23 million downtown Montreal refuge, with construction starting August 20, 2026 and completion slated for 2028, creating permanent, accessible, culturally safe spaces. Philippe Nadeau has the full story.
Construction crews broke ground today on a new refuge in the heart of downtown Montreal, marking the start of a $23 million project led by the PAQ. Workers are already erecting the steel framework for a 3-story facility that will house permanent, accessible, culturally safe spaces for community members. The development is slated for completion in 2028, with the first floor dedicated to counseling rooms, a second level for overnight shelter, and a rooftop garden for communal activities. Local officials said the refuge will operate year-round, offering a safe haven for anyone seeking support. The site is expected to create several dozen jobs during the build phase, boosting the neighborhood economy. Philippe Nadeau, GMNA News, Downtown.
Transport Collective is set to roll out the region's first metropolitan bus line next Monday, linking the town of Delson with the Yellow Metro line along Taschereau Boulevard. The new route will provide a direct, high-frequency service between Delson's downtown hub and the metro stations at the western edge of the island, giving commuters a faster alternative to the current commuter train and bus connections. Officials say the line will run every 15 minutes during peak periods and every 30 minutes off-peak, with modern low-floor buses equipped for cyclists and wheelchair users. The project, part of a broader effort to expand integrated transit options, is expected to ease road congestion on the surrounding highways and give residents easier access to jobs, schools, and services across the metropolitan area. Travelers can expect the first buses to depart early in the morning, with service running until late evening. Later, we'll break down the 11-minute emergency room wait time cut and what it means for patients, plus more local news. We will be right back.
Every day, important stories happen across the city before any news crew arrives. Sometimes the very first person at the story is you. When you witness something newsworthy, open the GMNA Citizen Reporter app and start your report. The app guides you through every step while your report is delivered directly to the GMNA newsroom. Every submission is reviewed by our editorial team, and approved reports may be featured on GMNA. Get the GMNA Citizen Reporter app today at my.gmna.ca. Your city, your news. Every day, important stories happen across the city before any news crew arrives. Sometimes the very first person at the story is you. When you witness something newsworthy, open the GMNA Citizen Reporter app and start your report. The app guides you through every step while your report is delivered directly to the GMNA newsroom. Every submission is reviewed by our editorial team, and approved reports may be featured on GMNA. Get the GMNA Citizen Reporter app today at my.gmna.ca. Your city, your news.
Welcome back. Quebec's deposit return program is producing a staggering amount of waste. According to $1 in G Inc., the province discards 4.2 billion single-use containers each year, enough material to fill the Olympic Stadium twice. The system, which requires a refundable deposit on bottles and cans, generates a massive flow of containers that ultimately end up in landfills despite being collected for reuse. Officials say the volume reflects the scale of consumption across the province and highlights the challenge of converting returned items into recycled product. The figure was released this morning as part of $1 in G's annual waste audit, underscoring the sheer quantity of disposable packaging moving through Quebec's recycling network. The deposit scheme covers most beverage containers sold in grocery stores, convenience shops, and restaurants. Over the past decade, the number of consigned items has risen, and even a share of unreturned containers adds up to a massive amount of waste.
Quebec strawberry and raspberry growers warn that a surge in U.S. shipments is crowding out local harvests, threatening farm income across the province. Industry leaders say imports are eroding demand. Marion Kate has the full story.
Shipments of strawberries and raspberries flooding into Quebec are squeezing local farms, as growers report a sharp dip in demand for homegrown berries. The Quebec Strawberry and Raspberry Growers Association says American exporters are redirecting cargo that would have headed south after U.S. shoppers cut back on fresh berries. Those extra loads are now sitting on docks and in warehouses across the province, undercutting prices for Quebec producers who have long depended on cross-border sales. The association's spokesperson warns the surge could force some farms to scale back or close, adding pressure to an industry already grappling with tighter margins. Farmers in the Montérégie region, a key berry belt, say they are watching inventories rise as sales stall. Marion Catay, GMNA News, Montreal.
Yesterday at 3:23 p.m., officers from the Montreal police entered a residence after receiving a call about an individual armed with a knife. A shooting occurred during the response, prompting the Bureau des Enquêtes Indépendantes to open a formal investigation. The independent watchdog, which investigates police use of force across Quebec, said it will examine the circumstances surrounding the discharge of firearms and assess whether departmental protocols were followed. Investigators will interview witnesses, review body camera footage, and analyze forensic evidence as part of the review. Police have not released details about injuries or arrests linked to the incident. The probe currently proceeds under the Bureau's mandate to ensure transparency and accountability in law enforcement actions. Officials noted the investigation officially follows standard procedure whenever a potentially lethal encounter takes place.
New data released today by the Montreal Economic Institute shows Quebec's emergency rooms cut their average wait times by 11 minutes compared with the previous year. The Institute's analysis of 2025 statistics confirms that patients spent less time awaiting treatment across the province's hospitals. Health officials in Quebec regularly track emergency room wait times each year as a key indicator of system performance. The latest figures suggest a measurable improvement in throughput, though the report does not break down results by individual health regions or facilities. The study attributes the reduction to a combination of staffing adjustments and operational changes implemented after earlier assessments highlighted bottlenecks. Provincial health authorities have not yet announced whether the trend will continue into the next reporting period, but the current decline marks the most significant year-over-year shift recorded in recent monitoring.
Advance voting begins today for 3 federal by-elections, 2 in the Toronto area and 1 in Montreal, that earlier this year secured Prime Minister Mark Carney a majority government. Philippe Nadeau has the full story.
Advance voting kicks off on August 21, 2026 across the city as Canadians head to polls for 3 federal by-elections. Voters in the Montreal area riding are joining those in 2 Toronto area ridings, all preparing for the contests that will follow the April 13th elections that handed Prime Minister Mark Carney a majority government. Polling stations are open from early morning until evening, with staff checking IDs and guiding citizens through the ballot. Election officials remind voters that the advance period runs through the weekend, giving a window before the official voting day. The 3 ridings will determine whether the new majority holds steady as parties campaign in the coming weeks. Philippe Nadeau, GMNA News, Montreal.
Now let's get a quick look at your morning forecast with our weather team.
Southwest jet streak and rising high pressure are locking in a dry, clear day over Montreal. The all-time high for August 20th was 34 degrees Celsius, set in 2021 during a lingering heat wave that pushed temperatures across southern Quebec into the mid-30s. The record low, 13 degrees Celsius, fell in 2024 when an Arctic surge slipped south, snapping a string of warm nights. By contrast, the climatological average high hovers near 23 degrees and the average low around 14 degrees. So today's 13-degree morning feels chilly compared with the norm, but still matches the historic low. The radar screen is completely blank across southern Quebec, confirming no rain bands in the vicinity. With the southwest jet streaming aloft at 100 kilometers per hour, any moisture would be sheared northward, but the surface high pressure remains dominant, suppressing lift. Expect the clear sky to persist through the morning and into the evening before the next system arrives later this week. At 7 this morning, Montreal sits under a clear sky, 13 degrees Celsius, with humidity near 87% and a light northwest breeze of 9 kilometers per hour. The high-pressure ridge is building, rising steadily, while the mid-level jets streak from the southwest streams at 100 kilometers per hour, reinforcing subsidence and keeping the air mass dry. Temperatures will climb to 20 degrees by mid-morning, reach a modest high of 24 degrees in the early afternoon, then ease to 21 degrees at sunset. UV index sits at 5, and wind remains gentle, never exceeding 15 kilometers per hour from the west. No weather alerts are in effect. Looking ahead, Friday continues the high-pressure pattern with a clear sky, a high near 22 degrees and a low around 12 degrees. Saturday warms slightly, reaching a high of 26 degrees while the low stays near 12, still under clear conditions. Sunday introduces the first moisture of the period. A weak frontal boundary brings scattered showers, pushing the high to 24 degrees and the low up to 17 degrees, with about 55% chance of rain in the afternoon. Monday's ridge weakens, leaving mainly clear skies but enough lingering moisture for a 40% rain probability, temperatures holding at a high of 22 and a low of 16. Tuesday turns overcast as the next system approaches, offering a 30% chance of rain and a modest high of 20 and low of 16 degrees. And that's your weather. Remember, the local sunrise is also available as a podcast. Listen anytime on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts.
We've got traffic updates, a peek at tonight's Yalla Habibi MTL events, and the Habs window opening, plus more. We will be right back.
Every day, important stories happen across the city before any news crew arrives. Sometimes the very first person at the story is you. When you witness something newsworthy, open the GMNA Citizen Reporter app and start your report. The app guides you through every step while your report is delivered directly to the GMNA newsroom. Every submission is reviewed by our editorial team, and approved reports may be featured on GMNA. Get the GMNA Citizen Reporter app today at my.gmna.ca. Your city, your news.
Tunnel Viger between Rue Panet and Exit 5 on Boulevard Robert Bourassa is shut, forcing all traffic to reroute onto Rue Panet and the nearby St. Laurent corridor. Drivers heading downtown should expect added travel time of at least 10 minutes and watch for alternating flow signs. On Autoroute Ville-Marie, Exit 5 for Rue Mansfield remains closed, diverting commuters onto the adjacent Exit 4 and the Boulevard St. Laurent frontage road. The closure adds a few minutes for westbound traffic, but is manageable with the alternate routes posted. Tunnel Ville-Marie, stretching from Boulevard Robert Bourassa to Boulevard St. Laurent, is also closed, so vehicles must use the surface streets around St. Laurent and the downtown viaduct. Aside from these closures, the rest of the highway network is clear and moving smoothly. On the transit side, the STM's Yellow Line will restrict bicycles and pets from 6 p.m. until service ends, but there are no current delays this morning.
Warped to Montreal kicks off at Parc Jean Drapeau today, a 2-day punk and alternative showcase with bands like Atreyu and Hawthorne Heights, perfect for anyone craving high-energy live music. Grab a spot early for the summer vibe. At Marché Central, the Festalumi installation lights up the space with ever-changing immersive art, a visual escape for families and art lovers alike. Wander the glowing corridors at your own pace. The free experience is perfect for an afternoon stroll. Disney's The Lion King roars on at Salle Wilfrid Pelletier, Place des Arts, delivering a spectacular musical experience that's a must-see for theater fans of any age. The dazzling costumes and unforgettable songs bring the Savannah to life, a brilliant outing for all. Canadian composer Stephen Moxio performs a solo piano concert in the Cinquième Salle at Place des Arts, offering a serene neoclassical program that will calm the morning rush. His latest pieces weave melody and emotion, a rare chance to hear fresh works. And now here's Tyler with sports.
Big Habs energy this Friday, the window is open and the future is bright. Craig Button isn't hedging, he says the Canadiens' Cup window is open for the next 6 years. What makes that credible is the culture backing it up. Montreal's young core is reportedly prioritizing winning over chasing bigger contracts elsewhere. That kind of buy-in is what championship rosters are built on. On a somber note, Habs legend Yvan Lambert is recovering from surgery after fracturing his hip and femur in a fall over the weekend. The hockey community is pulling for him. When Patrice Bergeron calls Nick Suzuki a true franchise player with all the right attributes, that carries real weight, Bergeron defined the position for a generation. Meanwhile, goaltender Jakob Dobish is generating buzz as a potential best bargain in the NHL this season, and he spent part of his summer surprising kids at the Canadiens hockey school. On ice upside and character off it, that combination matters in a rebuild turning the corner. Mark November 10th on your calendar. The Canadiens' honor Carey Price in the Bell Center Ring of Honor during their game against the Minnesota Wild, one day after Price's Hockey Hall of Fame induction. Back-to-back celebrations for the greatest goaltender this franchise has had in decades. For a fanbase that lived every save with him, that weekend is going to hit hard. Big season ahead, the Habs are giving fans every reason to believe.
Thanks, Tyler. Le Petit Houblon, tucked into the heart of Mile End, opened its doors this week. Founded by veteran brewmaster Jean-Claude Tremblay, the 5,000-square-foot microbrewery crafts small batch beers using locally sourced grains, hops, and even maple syrup. The taproom welcomes neighbors to sample the first pours, while a flexible community space hosts live music, art shows, and neighborhood meetings. With 15 new jobs on the payroll, the brewery is already sparking economic activity and giving local producers a fresh outlet. For Montrealers who cherish a good pint and a sense of place, Le Petit Houblon feels like a new gathering spot where the city's creativity bubbles over. The opening night featured a band and sip of their amber ale, a tribute to Mile End's creative pulse. Up next, we'll explore the sale of historic Huntingdon Mill and what its uncertain future could mean for the community.
Every day, important stories happen across the city before any news crew arrives. Sometimes the very first person at the story is you. When you witness something newsworthy, open the GMNA Citizen Reporter app and start your report. The app guides you through every step while your report is delivered directly to the GMNA newsroom. Every submission is reviewed by our editorial team, and approved reports may be featured on GMNA. Get the GMNA Citizen Reporter app today at my.gmna.ca. Your city, your news.
Welcome back. A historic near 200-year-old mill in Huntingdon, Quebec, has changed hands, but officials have not disclosed its next purpose. The landmark's future remains uncertain. Marion Catay has the full story.
The historic wooden mill that has dominated Huntingdon's riverfront for almost 2 centuries changed hands today. A local buyer completed the purchase of the brick and timber structure that once ground grain for the surrounding farms. The building, a familiar silhouette against the St. Lawrence tributary, will remain closed while officials and the new owner discuss its next chapter. No plans have been announced, and the town council says it will consider options that respect the site's heritage. Residents gathered this afternoon, watching the transfer of the deed and wondering what will replace the creaking wheels that have stood for generations. The mill sits roughly 46 miles north of the U.S. border, a reminder of the region's early industry. Marion Catay, GMNA News, Huntingdon.
Montreal will spend 44 million Canadian dollars to lease space at Place Dupuis for 10 years, providing offices for roughly 700 municipal employees, as the city enforces a 3-day-a-week on-site work policy. Philippe Nadeau has the full story.
The city has signed a 10-year lease for new office space on Place Dupuis, along Rue St. Catherine ESD, to house roughly 700 municipal workers. The agreement, worth about 44 million Canadian dollars, expands the city's footprint as it pushes a recent mandate for staff to be on site 3 days a week. The new premises will replace scattered locations, giving employees a single hub. Officials say the long-term contract aims to lock in predictable costs and provide the flexibility needed for future staffing changes. Construction and fit-out work will begin this summer, with the first desks expected to be occupied early next year. The lease period runs from 2026 through 2036, ensuring the space is secured well into the next decade. Philippe Nadeau, GMNA News, St. Catherine.
Thank you, Montreal, for joining us this morning. It was moving to share the city's heartfelt memorial for jazz legend Oliver Jones, a reminder of the music that unites us. I'm Lauren Dupuis, wishing you a wonderful day, and I'll see you bright and early tomorrow on the local sunrise.